Hello and welcome back to the second part of this Alpina makeover. And if you haven't seen part 1, I'll put a link above and I'd highly recommend watching it first. So, before we apply our protection, we need to prepare the surface. One of the best ways to do that is machine polishing. And if we're going to do that, we need to roughly tape up the areas we don't want to polish on. So just throwing a few images up now so you can see why we need the machine polish. The car might look good under normal sunlight, but when you actually put it in the dark and shine a bright LED lights on it, you can see all the swirls and scratches showing up. So we need to get the machine polisher, level the clear coat down, and that'll remove these minor defects. It's not going to remove every defect, like your stone chips and really deep scratches. They'll need much more aggressive forms of correction. We're not doing that today. We're giving the vehicle a once over so that we can apply our protection. So to carry out the polishing, I'm going to use the often mispronounced Koch Chemi, mostly the F6 fine polish, which despite the name fine could be considered more of a medium cutting compound. And I'm also using polishing pads from SGCB. I'm not going to go into this in too much detail, the polishing side of things, because that's not really what this video is about. This is just preparing the paintwork for the protection stage coming up. What I will say is, if you are going to be doing this, particularly if you're doing it for the first time, is to work in a small area at a time. Even break the bonnet up into 8-10 segments if you have to. At the end of the day, start off slowly. If you haven't corrected on your first go, go again. But if you go too hard and too fast, you can overcorrect and you can end up burning through your clear coat. It's very easily done if you don't know what you're doing and you don't take your time. The white cotton gloves, by the way, are just a personal preference. This isn't a requirement. I just like to wear them when I'm doing this. It means I can run my hand over the body when it's finished. See what it feels like without worrying about transferring any greases or oils from my hands onto the paint. But anyway, I said I'm not going to talk too much and I'm going to stick to that. I'll just show another minute and a half or so of the polishing and a couple of before and after bits which you might like, and then we'll get on with the protection. I did however make a lot of footage of the polishing, and if anybody's interested in seeing that, leave a comment below and I'll see about making that into a full video. When you're finished polishing, just remember to wipe the vehicle down. Doesn't matter whether you use a dedicated panel wipe, make up your own IPA solution, but it is important to do just to cleanse the surface before you apply your protection. So now that we've prepped the paintwork, we can actually start applying the protection. The first stage of that is going to be the Guardz Therapy 3 ceramic sealant, or CS. Now again, as this is the first time I've ever used this product, I applied it exactly as directed on the bottle, which was 1 to 2 sprays per panel, or in the case of the bonnet and roof, obviously split it in 2, but I still put the 2 sprays on half the bonnet. What are you talking about? Get on with it. I also primed the pad with 3 to 4 sprays, and then just spread it evenly across. Now you don't need to apply a lot of pressure, you just need to make sure that you cover the panel evenly and obviously that every part of it's covered. Once you've done that, you need to leave it for it's just 30 to 60 seconds to allow it to actually bond onto the paintwork. It also says in colder conditions to leave it a little bit longer, Now it was quite cool today when I applied this, so I left it for about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. But again, as always, I'm not going to make you watch for the full 2 minutes while it bonds, so we'll speed that bit up and then we'll crack on with the next part. So here we're using a low pile premium microfiber towel and just to lightly wipe. This is more to level the product off. So you've applied it now, you've spread it evenly as you can, allowed it to bond to the paintwork, and once it has bonded, this is just, as I say, just going to level it out before you buff it off. And finally, you take a soft, clean, plush microfiber cloth and buff it off. Now, I found it very, very easy to buff. I had heard a few, not horror stories, but a few people saying that streaking issues when removing this, and again the next product as well, but I had absolutely no problems whatsoever. It actually buffed off very, very nicely. It was an absolute pleasure to work with. So let's crack on with the rest of the car. The lighting on the wing here will actually give a better indication as to why there's 3 stages to applying this. As you can see, it's almost like an oily finish. So as you're spreading the product, it's spreading in lines almost. So what you want to do is leave that for your 30 to 60 seconds to allow it to bond. And again, longer if it's cooler, which as you can see from my breath coming off here, it's pretty cold. It's probably too cold to actually apply this product. It does say it should be applied above 6 degrees, but it is what it is. I am in the garage, which is raising the temperature, but anyway, I'm waffling on. This is why you then grab your low pile cloth and actually level the product out. And once you've it leveled out, again, as I said with the bonnet, you can then buff it off. So obviously we're not going to show every panel. I just wanted to show the buffing off of the bootlet here and the strategically placed bottles, just to highlight the glossy mirrored finish that you actually get with this product. So anyway, after doing the whole car, I left it for a couple of hours to cure and then applied a second coat. The car was then left in the garage again to cure overnight and for applying the next product the following day. So first things first with the Sigma application, it says to prime the face of the towel with 2 to 3 sprays, as you can see me doing. So the application of Sigma is very similar to ceramic sealant, only you're doing it in 2 stages rather than 3. 1 to 2 sprays per panel, spread it over evenly with your application cloth, the one you primed at the start there. Then wait again 30 to 60 seconds for the product to bond, and either use the dry side of the application cloth, or what I prefer to do is use a separate dry plush microfiber buffing cloth. I also, you'll notice here, use 2 different colour cloths. This way you're not going to mix them up. So you have one for applying and one for buffing. It's not rocket science, it just makes sense to me. when it came to the buffing, again, I had absolutely no issues with this at all. I've heard a few stories again of people having streaking issues when they're buffing this off, but maybe it's because it was inside, there was no dampness in the air, I don't know, but it buffed off absolutely fine, no issues, no streaking whatsoever. I have heard if you do get streaking issues, just use a lightly damp microfiber cloth, wipe over it again, and then buff it again with the dry one. But as I say, I had absolutely none of these issues. Just to reiterate again, as with most detailing products, less really is more. 4 to 5 sprays to cover the whole bonnet and just lightly spread the product around. You're not trying to press through the bonnet, you're not trying to remove anything, just evenly spreading it across the panel. Now I know I'm applying this the following day after applying the 2 coats of the CS. The ideal process should be 2 coats of CS, and then after the first wash a week or whenever later, you top up with Sigma. However, I discussed this with Maz from Guardz Therapy, and he said if you've applied 2 coats you can actually apply Sigma as soon as 1 hour after. It's just ideally to leave it until the next wash. So I allowed it to cure overnight to maximise the effectiveness of the Sigma. So you can see again here I've left it a couple of minutes. The minimum was 30 to 60 seconds, but I've allowed a bit longer again with it being cooler conditions, and buffed it off to what I'm sure you'll agree is an absolutely fantastic shine. The car looks extremely glossy, it's completely changed the colour of it. I'm very impressed with both of these products. So you can't go to this much effort on a car without restoring the black trim. So to do this I've used a product called Titan from Constellation Chemicals, a new brand in the UK, and this is their tire and trim dressing. I'm not going to talk about them too much here in this video, but it is something that's going to be coming up on the channel very soon, so if you'd be interested in that, do subscribe. Thankfully there's no piano black B-pillars in this car unlike most BMWs, so it's easy just to give the trim a bit of a dressing. So the same stuff can be used under the bonnet as well. Well, I used it under the bonnet as well, and as you can see I used quite a lot of it. Ah, what the heck, it was Christmas. So that's pretty much it. Not really much more left for me to say. I've thoroughly enjoyed making this video and making this Alpina look as good as it should. I've also thoroughly enjoyed using the Guardz Therapy products, and I will definitely be using them again going forward. I said at the start that this video was all about first impressions, and first impressions are very good. But that's enough for me. I will leave you with the finished shots of the vehicle, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you subscribe to the channel and come back for more in the future. So goodbye and take care.